Hey friends, welcome back to Homeschoolology. If you are a subscriber, welcome back. I'm happy you're here to chat with me today. If you are new here, this video is kind of more directed towards you because today I'm going to be talking about homeschool myths. And so this is kind of, if you have been here for a while, you probably have been homeschooling for a while, and you probably have realized that a lot of these things, don't necessarily ring true. But this video is for people who are new to homeschooling or considering homeschooling or just want to know more about homeschooling, and if, some of these things that you hear homeschooling is, whether it's true or not. So today's video, that's what it is about. If you are new here, my name is Nikki. I'm a homeschooling mom of 4. I currently have an 8th grader, a 4th grader, a kindergartner, and a pre-K level. So I have an 8th grader. We've been homeschooling from the very beginning. That means we're in our 9th year of homeschooling. And I like to talk to you guys about secular homeschooling because we are secular homeschoolers, but also about, motherhood, having a larger family, traveling with a larger family, and everything in between on this channel. So let's dive into today's topic. So as I said, today's video is all about homeschool myths. I've got 10 myths for you guys, 10 things that you commonly hear, and I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Some of these I really truly believed before I decided to start homeschooling. So these are super common myths, super common things that, people might think about homeschooling that isn't necessarily what homeschooling is. So let's start with homeschool myth number 1. These aren't in any kind of particular order. They're just kind of in the order that I wrote them down. So don't think that these are like the most popular to the least popular or anything like that. So let's start with the first one that I wrote down, and it's that all homeschool families are religious. This is a very common myth, I think, because before, many years ago, a lot of the only homeschoolers that a lot of people knew were people who homeschooled for religious reasons. And those homeschoolers are still out there. Yes, religious reasons are a popular reason for homeschooling, but I feel like more and more and more and more, the farther we get into the current days, I guess, more and more people are homeschooling for many, many other reasons. So yes, there are religious homeschoolers out there, but there are also secular homeschoolers out there. We are secular homeschoolers. Doesn't mean we're not religious people. It just means that we choose not to invite that into our homeschooling space, and that's not part of our education. There are many, many, many different kinds of homeschoolers out there now. There are still religious homeschoolers, but there's also secular homeschoolers, and there's people that fall somewhere in the middle. Some people who don't mind using something that's religious or something that's secular, or combining the two, that are just kind of like neutral families. So you do not have to homeschool strictly for religion or religious reasons. There are plenty of other reasons to homeschool, and for us, that religion has nothing to do with why we chose to homeschool, or why we continue to choose to homeschool, because the reasons we started homeschooling 9 years ago are definitely, they're still there. One of them, the main reason why we started homeschooling, is not necessarily a concern anymore, but the heart of why we thought homeschool was a good option is still the same. However, there are more reasons now why we continue to homeschool than there was, back then. So our reasons have changed, but stayed the same, kind of at the same. That is definitely a myth that can be busted. Religious reasons are not the only reasons to homeschool. Okay, number 2 is probably one of the biggest myths out there, and that is that homeschoolers are going to be unsocialized, awkward, sheltered, just not like your normal children. And this could be so much farther from that. My homeschoolers are in no way sheltered. They have public school friends. They live in this world. We do not shelter them from the world. Yes, I do feel like there are some things that they are better protected from, and some people might consider that sheltered. But in my feeling is the things that they are sheltered from are things that aren't really age appropriate anyways, or what I feel like my children should know about anyways. And so but they have public school friends, so we're not keeping them from the world. We love to travel, we love to get out and see the world, we love to do all the things. We talk about all the things. There is nothing that we are hiding from our children by keeping them out of the public school system. And I'm going to address the awkward one a little bit later, but they're definitely, my children are also very socialized. They have lots of friends from many different backgrounds. Like I said, we have public school friends, we have homeschool friends. Our homeschool friends are from all different kinds of backgrounds. So that is just not true. That is something that is just simply not true at all. Okay, the next three that I'm going to talk about here, so they kind of go together, but I'm going to address them one at a time. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is that regular parents aren't qualified to teach their children. So a lot of people feel like if you don't have some kind of teaching degree or some kind of child psychology or some kind of learning yourself, that you aren't qualified to teach your child. And this could not be further from the truth, because the people who are qualified to teach your children are the people who know your children. And who knows your children best? You. You know what your children are capable of. You know what your children struggle with. You know what your children need to thrive. You know your children. And therefore, you are the most qualified person to teach your child, because you are going to be able to find the resources to teach your child the way that they need to learn. So in my opinion, this is, again, one of those ones that's the complete opposite. Parents aren't qualified. Parents are probably the most qualified people to teach their children. Now, is calculus something that I'm good at, something that is my favorite subject, something that I think I'm going to be able to convey to my child very well? No, it is not. However, I am a capable adult who is capable of finding resources to help my child learn calculus, okay? So just because you don't have to know everything to be your child's teacher. You can be your child's learning facilitator, which is going to be the same thing and probably the best thing for your child concerning learning. So the next one up, which kind of goes along with the last one, is that you have to be a stay-at-home parent to homeschool your children. This is false. This is simply not true. I myself work. I work from out of my home. I do, I don't necessarily work for someone else. I work for myself, but I do work. I do help supplement my income, or our household income. So I am a working mom who also homeschools, and my husband works full-time for somebody else, for an outside company. So we are both working and homeschooling our children. He does help as well. So you do not have to be a stay-at-home parent to homeschool. And to go along with this, you don't have to homeschool during school hours. So I think that's kind of like a myth here. Like, if both parents work outside the home, you can still homeschool your children. Most likely, if you're homeschooling your children and you're both working outside of the home, you're not going to both be gone at the same time. And so you're going to, either tag timing it, but there's nothing that says you can't do homeschool from, after dinner. There's nothing out there that says that you can't do that. And that is how some families make it work, is by doing homeschool when they have the opportunity. And that might not be during school hours. So yes, you can be a working parent and still homeschool your children. And the last one that kind of goes along with this one has to do with homeschooling being expensive or being only for the privileged. This one, it is a myth. Homeschooling is not only for the privileged. It is not only for a certain type of household or certain type of income bracket or anything like that. Anyone can homeschool. You can homeschool for completely free. It is possible. And there are many, many, many resources out there that are 100% free. You can do it. So it's not for just, people. Now, can homeschooling be expensive? Yes, it can. It can if you're choosing to use things that homeschooling is like kind of like this balance between like time and money. So like if you have lots of time to invest, you're not going to have to spend as much money. But if you need to spend, you don't have as much time to invest, you are, both working parents or whatever, then yes, that scale is going to kind of tip back the other way. And it is going to become more expensive for you to use online things that are done for you or that have teachers for you, or curriculums can get really expensive when they're very laid out and very structured. So yes, homeschooling can be expensive, but does homeschooling have to be expensive? The answer is absolutely not. There are so many free resources out there that you can find and use that would cost you not a cent. So anyone can homeschool, really anyone. Next up, I've lost track of my numbers. I don't know where we are in the numbers, but the next one is homeschooling families are anti-public school. This is simply false. I was a public school teacher at one point. I am not saying that the public school system is all bad, because it's not. Yes, it has its issues, but it is not all bad. It serves a purpose. It needs to be there. Public school should be there. Yes, it needs some help, but I'm not anti-public school. I don't think that I am better than the people that send their kids to public school. That's what works for them. We have many homeschooling or public schooling families that are our very close, dear friends. And families, all my family is public school kiddos, so I am not anti-public school in any way, shape, or form, and I don't think that many homeschoolers are. Homeschoolers choose to homeschool their children because it's what's right for their family and their children, not because they think that public school is terrible. So that, I think, is a very big myth that we all think, are like no public school whatsoever. I did make the choice to keep my children at home, but that is not because I think that there shouldn't be public school. So while we're on the topic of public school, a lot of people think that if you don't send your kids to public school, then they can't take advantage of things like extracurriculars or activities that the public school, not activities, I guess, opportunities isn't the word I'm looking for, but like experiences that you get for school, like things like proms and homecomings and sports and things like that. And that is just really generally not true. There are some states where that is, public, or unless your kid is in public school, they cannot take advantage of those things. But there are many states that is not true. Like our state in Florida. Now, things can vary county to county, but our state, our county, our children can take part in any of those things. They can attend a public school dance with a public school friend. They can be part of a sports team. They can take, in my county specifically, they can take in the middle school and high school, they can just take 1 or 2 classes at school and be homeschooled for the rest of their subjects. There are many different things that, my children are not missing out. Do we choose personally to take advantage of those? Not yet. I'm not saying that we're not going to. I just haven't had a child that was interested yet. But if my children were interested, that isn't something that we would take advantage of. But also now homeschooling communities are growing so exponentially that there are so many people, like my kid goes to 2 homeschool dances every year. There are 2 every year that my child goes to. And it's not just, one specific group, it's the homeschool community at large. So different kids come to that. And my daughter has actually taken a public school friend to her homeschool dance before. And so I don't feel like my children are missing out on anything from those things. other than, and if they are missing out, I feel like they're missing out on the things that I wouldn't want them to experience anyways. So that is definitely a myth in most areas. Now, there are some states where that's not true and that's not the case, but in most areas, you either can take advantage of the public school offerings as well, or there are homeschool offerings that are available to you. So kind of hand in hand with that is that homeschoolers can't get into college, or the colleges won't accept homeschoolers. And this, guys, look it up. This is actually completely the opposite. It's almost like colleges now, I read a study one time that said colleges now are actually actively seeking homeschoolers because of the kind of students that homeschoolers are. Homeschoolers understand how to be independent learners, and that is something that is very important in college. You are responsible for your education at the college level, and homeschoolers are just simply have those capabilities a little bit better because they have been doing it already. They've already had the experience in that. Homeschoolers still can take all of the tests that they need to take to get into these colleges. You can still create a transcript for colleges. If you want your child to go to college, homeschooling them is not an obstacle. It might even actually be to your benefit. And this is all colleges, even Ivy League colleges. So look it up, guys. I'm serious. This is true. This is accurate. You do not have to go to public school to be able to get into college. Next up, I think we're on number 9. This is homeschoolers won't be prepared for the real world. My homeschoolers are in the real world every day. My homeschoolers are going to the grocery store with me. My homeschoolers are going to the other stores with me. My homeschoolers are running errands. My homeschoolers are going with me to the doctor's office. My homeschoolers are going with me to the bank. My homeschoolers are going with me everywhere. They are out and now in the real world every day. Will they be less prepared for a 9-to-5 job? Maybe. But does high school really prepare you for that very well? That's debatable in my opinion. So I do not think that this one is true at all. I think my children know how to talk to other people, other adults. My children know how to communicate with a cashier at the store. My children know how to go ask somebody for help. Because they are doing it on a regular basis, probably more often than public school children, because we are just simply out there more often than public school children. So I do think that this one is also false. And I think that my children are being prepped for the real world because we are experiencing the real world on a regular basis. So I've saved this one for last because this one might be the only one on my list that might actually be true. And it is that homeschoolers are weird. So my best friend used to always make joke, she still does, always joke about, oh, you weird homeschoolers. And I used to always say, we're not weird. No, we're normal. We're normal and we homeschool. I know a lot of normal homeschoolers. And then it's always a joke. She's always, making the jest. It's a jest and fun. We're having fun. And then one day she was like, but, this, you do this and this is weird. And you do this and this is weird. And I was like, you know what? Maybe we are a little weird. I'm going to own that we are weird, but I'm okay with it because things that you guys think that we are weird about are things that I think are really great about us, that makes us who we are and makes us unique. And I'm gonna own it. We are weird. And you know what? So what? We're homeschoolers and we're weird. And I'm gonna own this one. But yeah, we are a little weird. We are going against the norm. We are going against what, is typically accepted in the world around us. But I think that is a good thing. I think I like that for my kids. I like that for my family. And I'm going to own it, guys. I'm going to own it. We're weird. That's okay. I'm going to be weird. I don't mind being weird. I tell my kids all the time, I am weird. It's okay. I like being weird. It makes me interesting. That is going to wrap up my list here. I hope you guys found any of this helpful or entertaining, or, just got a good chuckle out of some of these, or maybe your mind was changed. Maybe you felt this way. I am going to be 100% honest. Some of these things I felt this way because I was not homeschooled. I was a public school kid. Went on to become a public school teacher. So, there I feel like I was ingrained in this public school mindset and believed some of these things. But once I started to experience the homeschool world, I found out so quickly that most of these are absolutely false and oftentimes the complete opposite of what they say that they are. So, I would love to hear if I missed one, if you have one that somebody always says to you, or something that you hear often, or something that you maybe thought before you came to the homeschool world, or if you're here because you're thinking about homeschooling, what else do you got for me? And let's talk about that down in the comments. While you're down there, I hope you would hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell and give this video a thumbs up. And I think that's all I'm going to share with you guys today. I hope you will chat with me down in the comments, or chat with me over on Instagram at Homeschool-ology. And let's just keep this going. What myths what other myths do you guys have? So I'm going to sign off. I hope you guys will come back and chat with me again real soon, and I'll talk to you guys later.